Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And I just drank some pop, so my mouth is very wet right now. We're going to answer your questions today, but first I have a question. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I got a can of pop here too.
Cool.
So.
And if we have any new listeners that maybe listened to the last episode and are continuing, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And also we call it pop because we're from the Midwest, and that's what it's called.
Well, I mean, you call it soda pop.
Yeah.
You know,
I actually
soda pop.
I recently found out why it is called soda, why some people call it soda and why some people call it pop.
Okay.
So I've already known that the reason it's called pop in the Midwest is because specifically the Faygo Corporation, they called it that because the bottles, the tops would pop off because they're carbonated. But specifically, it's called soda by a lot of other people because at the same time on the East Coast, they didn't store it in bottles. They had it in a soda fountain. So you would get a soda from the soda fountain. Whereas elsewhere in the country, they were calling it pop because it would be in a can that the top would pop off.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, it's still soda because why would they call it a soda fountain?
Well, if you get pop in a can or a bottle, it doesn't have soda. Well, I don't think it has soda water in it. I think it's been.
Sure.
I don't actually know how pop is made. So never mind. I think a different process is made when it's in a can versus when it's in a soda fountain.
Well, yeah, because when you're getting it from like a soda fountain, it's soda water.
Yeah.
Or it's the soda water, and then it's being mixed with syrup.
Sure.
And then it comes out in the fountain.
Yeah.
And I guess the fact that it's pre-mixed makes it count as pop. I don't know. Well, in any case,
this is the Popcast.
Yeah, and we you don't call we don't call it Coke, even though it's not Coke.
Well, yeah, no, that's
a whole other thing.
Those people are bad people. Do not associate with those people.
Bad people.
But I'm drinking my favorite RC Cola.
Yeah, I got some Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper over there. So it's the new year. We've got some cool stuff planned for this year. I think we got. Cool stuff coming up.
Giving up pop was not one of our New Year's resolutions.
Goodness, no. Why? Jeff, why would you even put that out into the world?
Because there's so many calories. It's so many calories, and it's not good for you, Gabe.
If there is any reason to get extra calories, it is to enjoy the delicious, delicious ambrosia of RC Cola.
So, yeah, soda is delicious.
It is, very much so. One thing I want to talk about, just very briefly, is... The Eberron book is amazing, and I have firsthand experience with that because what did we just do a few days ago, Jeff?
We played D&D.
We played D&D. I mean, I know that this is a tabletop role-playing podcast
that we've been running for 3 years.
For 3 years, but if I've said it elsewhere, but if you have not heard it before, I actually play very little D&D.
Right, same.
I run a monthly thing at the library.
Mm-hmm.
Try to have a monthly Roll20 game for our patrons. It doesn't always happen. We don't always have enough people. So if you're a patron, be sure to take part in that. But I haven't had like a regular game in a very long time. Mm-hmm. And the Eberron book came out. I was having so much fun reading it because it's taken me back. It's taken me back to all of, the stuff we did when we were just out of high school when Eberron first came out. I love it.
Yeah.
And there is a sample adventure in there. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, guys, I need to play some D&D.
Yeah.
So I got you, Steve, and Skylar, and you guys came over a few days ago. We started the adventure from the, I think it's called Forgotten Relics is the adventure in the Eberron book, and it was so much fun. We only got about halfway through it. We'll finish it in the next few days.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and you guys will never guess what I was playing as.
A gnome.
Right. No, it's
Man, who would have thought D&D is fun to play?
Right.
Someone should start a podcast about that.
We can look into it. We'll look into it. But
yeah. So anyway, I was so excited about that. It's probably gone out by now if you are a patron, but by the time you hear this, it's gone out. We're going to be recording a Patreon episode specifically about Eberron.
Sure, yeah.
So
yeah, we're going to talk about the new book and all things Eberron.
All things Eberron. So like an hour plus of Eberron content.
Yeah.
So go check that out. More on the Patreon later. You want to go ahead and jump into this episode, Jeff?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So Jeff, I want you to imagine that you're new in town.
Okay.
You may be you're in town for something else, but you've got the night free. And you're looking for some excitement. So you notice there's a big throng of people walking towards this big tent off in the distance.
Ooh, okay.
And you're not quite sure what's over there, so you hop in the line and you follow along with them. And as you get close, you begin to hear someone's calling something out to the crowd. And you see it's this short little gnomish fellow with he's got like a red and white vest. He's got a little cane. He's pointing and such. He's gesturing people into this gigantic tent where you can see lights and music and stuff coming from inside. And as you get closer, you can hear that he's calling out a rhyme, and he says to you, "Come one, come all, step up, don't fall, watch out for fire, don't burn your board as you step into the dragon's horde." So today's magic item was submitted by Dustin F. via email, and the item that Dustin submitted is the Candied Cloud. A mainstay of the Cirrus Circus. This snack is a favorite of gnomes. It is made by Tobblefoot, the Tinkerer's Cloud Combing Contraption. Each new blue velvet bag contains 50 doses of cream-colored cotton candy. Bags found while adventuring contain 20 plus 3d10 doses. So 20, between 23 and 50, I guess. Consuming one dose gives 1 day's worth of water, which is a little backwards if you ask me, as cotton candy makes me thirsty, not,
Right.
Throwing 5 doses on the ground creates a 30-foot radius fog cloud, as per the spell, I imagine. Throwing 10 doses in the air creates a 1 mile radius of cloud cover.
Ooh.
Throwing 20 doses in the air creates a 1 mile radius thunderstorm.
Oh, dang.
And throwing 50 doses, an entire fresh new bag, into the air creates a localized monsoon.
Oh, geez.
So this one, when I first started reading it, I assumed what it was going to be about, and then it went in a complete different direction. So it's a bag of cotton candy.
Yeah.
However, it creates clouds.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
There has never been a time where I have heard of a magic item that does anything like this.
Right, yeah. Like, just the idea of creating cloud cover for a mile.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
I don't know how I would use that effectively, but
it's like maybe there's like a dragon in the area, and
there you go.
You need to travel over some terrain, and you don't want the dragon to see you from the sky or something like that.
Sure.
So you throw up some cloud cover.
Yeah.
It's like, that's really cool.
And being able to create a localized monsoon.
Yeah, that's
a pretty big deal.
That's something.
There was a movie I saw a long time ago called Jumanji, where a localized monsoon was a huge problem.
Right, yeah. Little water never hurt anybody. Yeah, but a lot can kill you.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
So I just think it's so interesting. Like, also, you often see magic items that's like, oh, you eat this and it gives you a day's worth of food. Mm-hmm. How often do you see one that's like a day's worth of water?
Right.
Almost never. I mean, it's probably included if it's food.
Yeah, like the Goodberry spell. I don't know if it says specifically food, but I think it just says like you're satiated for a day.
I don't know. We could look it up, but I'm not going to. So I don't know. It's just I think it's caught my ear or eye or whatever. Yeah. Definitely. I like being able to just toss some on the ground and create a fog cloud.
Right.
I also like how there are such granular effects that it's not just like, oh, 1 charges this, 2 charges is that. It's like, well, I've got 42 of these things left. All right, bam, 5 of them down on the ground, fog cloud.
Right.
And then and then like each time you're like, well, I can either save this up for a thunderstorm. I can use the rest of it for a thunderstorm, or I can get us some cloud cover. A fog cloud and 5 days of water.
Sure.
I don't know. I generally tend to shy away from bookkeeping, but I think because each of those are such different effects.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
So, it's Here, I have a question for you, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like cotton candy?
I don't not like it.
Yeah.
It's, I tend not to go for super sweet things. Like pop I have every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then I just ate like half a bowl of stale caramel corn, which is
you did
not sitting super well in my stomach, but it's whatever. I didn't eat dinner, so like that's probably not the best thing to eat.
Gotcha.
So yeah, like sweet things aren't something I super go for, and like cotton candy is like it's just sugar. It's not super substantial.
Just sugar.
Taste wise,
melts the moment it touches anything.
Which that is the reason why I do like it to an extent, is because like it's a different experience than most treats.
Sure.
Like it has that sort of uniqueness of like, oh, it just kind of dissolves in your mouth, and it's like that was weird,
It's like you put it in your mouth and you're like, oh, there's nothing there.
It's a weird sensation, and the flavor is kind of nice because it's not just sugar. There's a
little bit of flavoring.
There's a bit of flavor to it. It's got a distinct cotton candy flavor, so I don't dislike it.
I feel like I like the idea of cotton candy way more than I actually like cotton candy.
Sure.
Like I'll be like, heck yeah, give me some cotton candy, and then I'm like, oh.
Right. Yeah, I can understand it because it's the presentation of it. Like it's sort of like, because it's tied to things like theme parks and carnivals.
Yeah, I do love me a good carnival. Like the aesthetic of a carnival is one of my favorite aesthetics in the world.
It's great.
If you look around the room, listeners, if you look around the room that we're recording in, I do have these lights kind of like hanging down in strings from the ceiling that I have them up because they remind me of carnival.
Sure. Yeah. So like, it's just like a fun thing. Like, I mean, in any like show or movie where they're at like a carnival or something, you hear the same sounds because they use the same, ambient noises. But it's a fun. It sounds like a good time.
Sure.
And then like the smell of like popcorn and caramel corn.
That's taking me back.
Funnel cakes and stuff like that. It's really good.
Sometime I'll have to tell you the story about when Lisa found a funnel cake on the ground and tricked me into eating it.
Oh no.
I guess it's not really much of a story. She told me she bought it, but she didn't. She found it on the ground.
Oh jeez.
We're at Bonnaroo, and that's her attitude. Is like, oh, found food. Let's eat it. No, it was on the ground. Anyway.
Oh goodness.
So yeah, there isn't really much else to this item. It's a pretty simple one. I like it. It does some stuff I've never seen before, and I'd be interested in tossing it in a game and seeing what happens. If by chance you guys find some cotton candy in an Eberron game, don't be super surprised.
Right, yeah.
All right, so that'll do it for the Dragon's Hoard for today. Once again, that was submitted by Dustin F. via email. That was the Candied Cloud, so thank you very much, Dustin, for that. Jeff, if anybody wanted to submit items for the Dragon's Hoard, or questions for us to discuss, or stories for the funeral pyre, or the other version of that segment we may be getting to later, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
Perfect. And from now on, we mentioned last week, we are going to be giving away a new giveaway instead of Chapel on the Cliffs. We're very thankful to Goblin Stone for giving us so many free copies of Chapel on the Cliffs to give away. But we're going to switch over to giving away Crit Academy's Unearthed Tips and Tricks book. Unearthed Tips and Tricks is a book that I helped them write, that it is a collection of character concepts, of encounter concepts, monster variants, magic items, player tips, and DM tips.
Right, so nothing too mechanics heavy, so you can use it in a lot of different ways.
Exactly. So, they've come up with some great stuff on that show, and I just helped out by just writing it out pretty much. And so we're going to be giving away a copy of that every episode. So if somebody wants to get a copy of that starting next week, assuming, because spoilers, at the moment, we don't have any because last week
is the first time we mentioned it.
We're recording this before that episode has gone out.
Right, yeah.
So if anybody would like to get this drawing starting next week, how would they do so?
Let's see. Email. You want to email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. And then what are we putting in the subject line? On tips and tricks, or
tips and tricks, I think,
or unearthed tips and tricks.
Whatever. Just make it clear in one of those. Right. Tips and tricks, or unearthed tips and tricks, or UTTs.
Sure.
It's up to you. We're giving you the choice this time.
Yeah.
So just send us that email. and get some entries in there. If you've already gotten Chapel on the Cliffs, you can still enter. You can enter again to get Unearthed Tips and Tricks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping to get some of those coming up.
Cool.
Hope to get a big full box of emails.
Yeah,
soon.
for sure.
All right. And then I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons for helping make the show happen. We have a Patreon campaign at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Patreon is an online platform where you can pledge to donate a certain amount of money per month to help out your creator of your choice. So if you donate to us, you get some cool stuff in return. We've got outtakes. We've got fantasy fiction that I've written. We've got a monthly bonus podcast. We've got a monthly Roll20 game for our top tier patrons. We've got lots of cool stuff on there. Go and check out the rewards at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. If you feel like helping out the show and getting some stuff in return, we'd really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much to everybody who has donated, and go check that out.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Crit Academy. Justin, Ian, and Brandon create new and reusable content every week at critacademy.com. Go check them out. They're the ones that they're the actual minds behind the Unearthed Tips and Tricks.
Mm-hmm.
So go check out their podcast. It's so great. I cannot recommend it enough. They just did a couple episodes of coverage of the Artificer a few weeks ago from the Eberron book. So cool stuff on there. I'm sure they've got some cool stuff coming up in the near future.
Nice.
Also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. They are an actual play podcast on the network. Got some great guys on that show. We had them. We've had all the Crit Nation guys on our show at some point, but we had them on sometime last year. Check them out. Also, D&D Character Lab is not making new episodes, but Garen and Dan have lots of episodes where they made characters and then debated whose characters were better.
Mm-hmm.
So check out all those podcasts. Let's get into some questions, Jeff.
Okie dokie. All right. Our first question comes from Dustin F. on Discord.
Hey, Dustin F., who submitted the Candied Cloud.
Oh, yeah. How would you recommend leveling within a pre-written module?
Yeah, so let's assume that some of our listeners are started off with last episode and then are moving on to this episode.
Sure.
Maybe some of them are, maybe some of them aren't. A pre-written module is when the Dungeon Master, rather than coming up with an adventure all on their own, like a story for the players to go through, someone else has already written them. There are thousands of them out on the internet, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe. I don't know.
Countless.
Lots and lots of Dungeon Masters do this, where they instead of creating a dungeon, instead of creating a story, they take a story or dungeon or whatever that someone else has made and then tailor it to fit in their players.
Right, yeah. So if you got an overall campaign going, but you need something for that session, you didn't have too much prepared, you can get a pre-written module and just kind of tweak a few things to fit it into your overall plot.
Right. And there are advantages and disadvantages to pre-written modules. We've talked about those in the past. That's not really what today is about.
Right.
The question is, so you're going to have the players go through this pre-written module, which is probably written to be for specific, a specific makeup of characters.
Right.
Like a group of 4 5th level PCs.
Yeah, the author will usually provide recommendations for this is for this many PCs at this level, range around here. In the case of Chapel on the Cliffs, they actually provided extra stats that you can use if you're beyond the range of the recommended range of the adventure. They're well, if you're it's intended for 3 to 5, but if you're looking at a 6th level group, use these monsters instead because they're a little bit more challenging, but it still fits the theme.
Right. And this is a bit beyond the scope of the question, but some adventures, a lot of the time, it's really hard to scale them past a certain point.
Yeah.
If, for example, there's a 1st or 2nd level adventure, and then part of it could be completely made irrelevant by a teleport spell, for example. Well, it's because it's not meant for a group of characters that's high enough level to cast teleport.
Exactly.
And so on. So a lot of adventures will have instructions on how to adjust it to fit a larger, a higher level or lower level group of characters, or a larger group, a smaller group, and so on. Anyway, so a pre-written module is that. It's an adventure that someone else has written that the Dungeon Master is running for their group. Now, there can be some obstacles when the players get enough experience in the middle of an adventure and then they have enough experience to level up. So I think I might have paraphrased this question when Dustin asked it. I don't recall. But there's a couple different parts of this that we can discuss. Number one, what do you do when the players get to be too high of level?
Right.
They've leveled up and the adventure did not expect them to.
Yep.
And then number two, how exactly do they just level up immediately? Do they have to go back to town? And so on. How do you level them up in the middle of the adventure?
Sure.
I guess those are two things that we can get out of this question. So I guess let's go with the first. What do you do when, oops, the players, by too many random encounters or whatever, and the players have gotten to be a higher level than the adventure meant?
Well, because I mean, there's more than one way to do level ups. Because some people do like milestone stuff,
sure,
where you're not going off of the experience points. You're just going off of like, well, you basically level one the DM tells you to.
Sure.
If you're running it that way, that might be a little bit easier to keep them from getting too high level. But at the same time, if a player, if a player's been the same level for too long, they might feel like they might get a little bored, or because they're really excited about the next level of their class because they want to get that one ability or something.
Sure. So if you're using milestones, such as the players will level up after they beat the mid boss of the dungeon, or whatever, or like after they beat the first mini dungeon and go on to the second dungeon or whatever, then that's a pretty simple way to handle that, because you rather than just giving them experience, if you decide to have some random encounters in there, you don't have to worry about them getting too much experience, because they're not going to level up until they beat this point in the story.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if there's a way that, like, if you were up until this point doing experience and not milestones, but then you were like, well, okay, we're going to do this pre-written adventure because it looks like the cover looked cool or something, and everybody was in on it. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do this pre-written adventure. But it's for these specific levels, and we don't want to get beyond. Your guys are close to the next level already, and if we, get through like the first few pages of this adventure, you'll level up, and then you'll already be kind of on the high end of the range or something.
Sure.
So like maybe there's a way to kind of like shift into a milestone.
Maybe.
So you can just say, okay, you're so close to the next level, but we'll sort of like carry that over in a way. So like you'll level up milestone wise for this module, but then when we get out of the module, you'll be, that percentage closer.
So you're saying, let's say one of the players is halfway to level 5. They're level 4 and they're halfway to level 5.
Right.
So for this module, you're going to be switching over to milestones, but then you level up to like 6 over the course of the adventure. Once it's over, that character is now halfway to level 7.
Sure.
Because they were halfway to level 5. Now they're halfway to level 7.
That way they don't feel cheated out of that, like that first half of the level that they got the experience for.
Sure,
so like you get like rollover minutes kind of thing.
Sure, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For people who might remember what rollover minutes are. So I think because I do remember Dustin asking specifically about random encounters. I personally don't like random encounters.
Sure.
This is one of the reasons. We've talked about random encounters long ago.
Yeah.
I don't like them because I want to get to the adventure. I don't care about just, there's some ogres you fought on the way to the Dragon's Hoard. I would rather not bog down the adventure. I'd rather get to the action. And then an added benefit of that is you don't have any more experience than the adventure assumes.
Right.
Some adventures might be written with the assumption that you are having random encounters, in which case, okay, whatever. But in that case, I would probably supplement, just give them role-playing experience or something. I would still try not to have random encounters unless there was like one or two that were story relevant. Like there were one or two that if the players have done this random encounter, something in the story makes more sense or whatever. So yeah, I would just give the players the experience that is necessary to get them to where the adventure wants them to be, and then not go beyond that. So if you do notice that the party is, if you're the dungeon master and you notice the party is getting to be a bit high of level, you can look at the module's rules on how to scale stuff up. It can never hurt to just halfway through the battle, some reinforcements arrive or something. If you notice the players are getting too high of level, they're killing the bad guys too easy.
Sure, yeah.
Just throw in some more bad guys. And then, if you're using experience, maybe that means that they'll get more experience, and then you'll have the problem again. I think experience is kind of a crummy system sometimes for that reason.
Yeah. It can change the way that the game is played in not so great ways.
Right.
I think the main issue I feel like is just like what things your players have access to.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be the main issue is like, well, okay, like you said, like a fly spell or something. once they got a fly spell, maybe they got like could be puzzles or something in the adventure that could be easily solved with a fly
that
spell.
jumping across the pit is nothing.
It's nothing anymore.
Or like, you have to build some sort of a thing in order to throw whatever over the pit so you can climb across.
It'll be like a whole paragraph describing a bridge that's broken that you need to do so many, like a skill challenge to get across.
Sure.
And it's just like, well, this whole thing is useless now because they can just cast levitate or something.
Sure.
And like we've mentioned this sort of thing before where it's like, well, if your adventure can be beaten by one single spell,
probably wasn't a good adventure to begin with. Yeah.
But I mean, if the idea is it's intended for lower level, like it's not any like direct fault of the author or anything like that.
Sure.
So like try your best to keep it within that range. And people like writing modules, like, maybe I guess sort of you want to put like notes in certain parts of the adventure. Like if this is definitely made trivial by a fly spell or something. So like this, so like you could just, if your players are at this level or higher, just gloss over this next part. Don't even bother with it.
Or replace this obstacle with a different obstacle.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. Like, so instead of it just being a broken bridge, it's a broken bridge, but there's also like a ogre mage protecting it or something. So it's a different type of, it's not a skill challenge anymore, but it's something challenging.
Yeah, sure. So I guess let's, here, I do feel the need to, put forth another option here. And that is, just let the players be too high level.
Sure.
Like if they went through the work of fighting all those random encounters,
that's true,
and they became more powerful as a result. Mm-hmm. Okay, they have an easier time fighting the end boss.
Right. I mean,
sometimes that happens
in like RPG video games where you go and grind for 4 hours, and you get 5 levels higher than the next boss is going to be, and you just you just plow through the boss.
And like maybe some of the players will find that less fun. I doubt it, but maybe. Maybe
they still had fun fighting the other stuff. If that was what they wanted to do, then they're probably having fun.
Yeah. If some players are vocal about like, oh, that final boss was way too easy. Okay, make the next one harder.
Sure.
Like I doubt it's as big of an issue as it feels like it might be.
Oh, you think that was the boss, do you? Well, the actual boss is in the next room.
There you go. The actual boss is the next room. Right. You just climbed inside its mouth. You're dead.
Yeah. The whole fortress was a mimic.
Right. And then so let's let's transition to the other part of this question. Let's say the players are in the middle of an adventure. They're in the middle of a dungeon. They technically have enough experience to level up.
Oh yeah.
What do you do?
Okay, and that could go off of like the style of play of the DM or something like that. Yeah. I feel like this is the sort of thing I feel like is discussed before like before the sessions even begin. It's like, this is how leveling up works in my adventure or whatever.
Sure.
Where like when you get the experience, you don't just pop. It's not in a video game where you just go ding and you get full health and and mana and all your abilities right away.
I mean, that's how most people don't play it that way.
Right.
It theoretically could be.
Exactly.
There's no reason that it can't.
Right. Yeah, it could definitely be that way. But some DMs might be like, okay, if you get all the experience, you have to like, maybe you have to do at least a short rest or a long rest, or you have to go back into town and like, do something specific to your class, like the cleric's got to go to a temple of their deity and pray, and that's what gets them to level up, or that's how they spend the experience points, or like the rogue's got to go and steal something. I guess I don't know, like maybe like each character's got to do their own little like ritual thing that isn't easily done in the middle of a dungeon or something.
Yeah. So different DMs are going to have different styles of how they want players to level up. Like you said, some of them are going to require you have to spend time, you have to contact an NPC, you have to do some rolls or whatever. I don't know. Some are going to say you have to wait until a long rest. Like, if you spend a long rest, even if you're in the middle of an adventure, after the long rest, you level up. Some will say a short rest. Some, I don't know if I've ever played with any that do this, but some might just say once the battle's over, bam, you're at full everything.
Yeah.
None of these are right and none of these are wrong.
Yeah, no.
It's entirely up to the dungeon master how they want to portray that.
Or sometimes it's like if it's the end of the session and everybody's had enough experience, They'll just say, okay, when we come in for the next session, have your next level prepared,
Right.
And we'll just go from there.
I feel like that's what I do most of the time.
Yeah, it's because some people are going to want to take some time to actually because leveling up in the middle of a session can basically kill the session because...
True. There have been times where I've been really excited for what the players are going to be able to do next level. So in the middle of the session, I've been like, hey, go ahead and level up because I know we've got time for one more encounter after that. And I want them to have those higher level spells or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that can be an option.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that it's unnecessary to be like, oh, you have to go back to town. You have to work with a trainer and so on.
Yeah.
I understand the reason. I understand that people want it to be part of the story, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, game mechanics are game mechanics. Story is story. I think that the two don't have to be related. They usually should be, or they usually can be. But if you don't want them to be, that's fine. I think that working too hard to maintain that, when it is at the expense of the players being able to use cool new toys, I think that it can miss the point.
Yeah.
Not to tell anybody they're doing it wrong, but I think that it is perfectly acceptable to say, next short rest, boom, you're back at full, you got all your leveled up stuff.
Yeah.
I think that if you want to have the players role play out, learning to pick that lock or communing with your deity or whatever,
sure,
awesome. I would say, let them level up now, but do that once they get back to town. Once the dungeon is over, then go ahead and have half a session where it's all just role-playing out, advancing their characters. I think that you can have them be close to each other. I don't think it's necessary to have them be one and the same.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Because sometimes when you're in the middle of a dungeon, especially if it's been really, really tough, plenty of times I've been in a campaign, when there'd be a time where Chris was running a game.
Dang.
And he would say, you guys don't have time to go back to town to rest, but it's been really intense here, and the intensity of the dungeon, of the adventure has, pushed you beyond where you were before. So go ahead and level up now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always felt awesome when that happens. So I don't think it's that you have to wait until you're back in town.
Mm-hmm.
So in the middle of a dungeon, if you just want the players to be more powerful and be able to take on, maybe as the dungeon master, maybe you didn't realize it was going to be this hard.
Sure.
The players are having a lot harder of a time than you expected. You want to give them that boost. Go ahead and let them level up now instead of waiting until they get back into town.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if they've been having a rough time and you want to give them a bit of a reward for it.
Sure.
It's like you guys have I definitely I gave the enemies a little bit too much power, but you guys just barely squeaked by and managed to get through it. You know what? On this short rest, you level up.
Sure.
Oops-a-daisy. Sorry for almost, killing the party.
Yeah.
Because I put too high a level, monster in the encounter.
Hey, it happens.
It happens. Or if you want and you're that kind of DM, just kill them. I don't know.
Hopefully not.
No.
Hopefully some other option, but do whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Our next question comes from the Beverage Tea on Discord. What do you do after the DM provides the scenario and environmental description, and then there is an extended silence? So the DM gets done saying all the flavor text, and then there's just sort of
So we said last session that the course of play is usually the dungeon master describes a scenario. Maybe okay, you guys are hanging out outside the bar, and you hear some people screaming. There's a crash from up ahead. You see this red scale dragon swoop in, land on a building, and start breathing fire.
Right.
And then all the players just sit there, each one waiting for someone else to do something.
Right.
What do you do? And this is a thing that happens very often, especially with players that are not strong role players.
Right.
Maybe people that are new to the game.
Yep.
People that aren't familiar with what it is they can be doing.
Right. Well, I at least have one suggestion, at least in that specific scenario that you gave, for the DM to do.
Okay.
Which would be to all right, a young woman is screaming and she comes up and grabs your arm and says, "Please help us." Just just kind of get something rolling, you know.
Sure. When I run like games at the library, for example, when I might do exactly that, or I might do exactly this.
Yeah.
This thing. I will describe a situation, and then all the players are just kind of sitting there, staring at one another. I might, keep talking.
Right. Yeah. Or just like you might have to pick randomly, but just like pick one of the players and just kind of like have something happen to them directly, so they have to do something.
Sure.
And like if it's like, all right, I've decided you got to get the ball rolling. This lady comes up to you and grabs your arm and says, "Please help us." It's like, all right, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, that's definitely one that I do a lot.
Yep.
I would say if you're a player and you realize this has just happened, and everybody's just like staring at each other like deer in headlights, say something in character.
Yeah.
Whatever the situation is, have your character say something.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be something profound.
It could be, "Oh no, not again."
Sure.
Like even though like this is the first session, you could just say that like your character is like, "What, has your character been in a dungeon or in a dragon attack before?" It's like, "Yeah, oh yeah."
And hey, that right there, as the dungeon master, you can have the dragon be like, "It's you.
You again." Yeah.
or something. Have your character just say something. Specifically to the other characters,
right?
The other players at the table, and at the very least, you'll start getting some role playing, the role playing ball rolling.
Yeah. Just be like, and you grab at your chest where you have the tooth of the dragon, that you had from before. Like, oh wait,
maybe ask the dungeon master, "What are my options?"
Right. Sure. Yeah. It's like, okay, what can we do? It's like, well, you can run for cover.
You can run for cover. You can try to climb up a building and punch the dragon.
Right. Sure.
You see a bow lying on the ground. You can pick it up and try to fire.
Yeah.
Are you proficient?
One of the more cowardly guards left his post, but also left a crossbow and some bolts behind.
Yeah, so asking the dungeon master a question is probably a great idea in this case. Ask, what are my options? Ask, what type of a dragon is it?
Sure.
Ask, what does my character know about this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Anything that you can do to just break the silence and also engage one of the other people at the table. Whether it's another player, you could ask another player a question, ask the dungeon master a question. Saying something, somebody please say something is what should happen.
Yeah.
That's always one of the hardest things to deal with, because it's like, however good the description is, and sometimes when you describe the scenario and the environment and everything, sometimes it's too good and everybody like their eyes just glaze over, and it's like there's all this description and whatever. Maybe that's not too good. I guess arguably if they're not paying attention, it's not good. But
it's too much information, or it's an overload of some sort.
Sure. There was when I was running our Eberron game the other day, there was a point where the players they found out that this NPC was being blackmailed. They went to the NPC's house. And they get there. I read the flavor text in the book. I read the description. Okay, there's this big tower, blah, blah, blah. In the description, at the end of it, it's like you see two people standing on the porch. There's a haggard-looking man, and then his assistant is standing next to him. And like you guys spent maybe like 5 or 10 minutes being like, okay, let's find where this guy is that is being blackmailed.
See, now in my defense, I remembered when you described that, it's like, oh, that's probably the guy we have to go talk to, but then like we were hung up on some other details.
Sure. I'm not faulting you.
Right.
If it was me, I guarantee I would have glossed over that detail as well.
Right. But
because it's in the description, nobody pays attention to the description.
I love your comment. It's like
they hid it in the best hiding place possible, right there in the flavor text.
Yep, that's if you're trying to hide the big bad evil guy, just put him in the flavor text. They won't notice him.
Right. And I'm the kind of person that like when somebody says something to me, much of the time it takes me 3 seconds before I actually register what it is they said. So
because it's like the flavor text is describing a whole scene, and the first description you make, your brain's going like, okay, I'm gonna picture that, and then while you're picturing that, the next thing was said, so you're like, wait, what did I miss? What did I miss? And then they describe the third thing, and you go, okay, I'm gonna picture that, and then they describe the fourth thing, and you miss it, and it's like, crap.
So I guess just try to be paying attention more if there is anything in the description that does catch your ear.
Focus on
mention it immediately. Like the moment the description is over, be like, "Hey, what was that? What was that guy that you mentioned in the description? Or what building did the dragon land on?"
a lot of times it might be nothing, but like
sure, but at least it's filling air. The worst thing is when just nobody is talking, but everyone is taking time out of their day to stare at each other for this extended silence.
Right.
So I mean, hey, it's going to happen, and you'll learn to deal with it the more you play. It's not the end of the world.
I mean, like at least ask the DM to like maybe repeat the description.
That can never hurt.
It'd be like, wait, what did you say? Like if it's just complete silence and nobody knows what to do, and you were like, like I said, like picturing one thing but missed the rest, and it's like, wait, what did you say after that?
Can you repeat that? And then if nothing else, it'll give everyone at the table a few more, another chance to listen and then get ideas for what to do.
Right.
So
yeah, it's like although it's like things where like when the NPC says something and it's like says the name of somebody, and then you go find that person, you're like, crap, what's their name? And you're like DM, what was the name again? It's like you were supposed to hear it, like the guy said it to you. So that's a different style of DMing.
Sure.
But
so again, just try to say something in character. Ask the dungeon master a question. Ask them to repeat what happened, or and any of those is a completely valid answer. And
you could just lean over to one of the other players and be like, it's hot out, isn't it? Like, let's talk about the weather while a dragon is flying overhead.
Man, did you see The Simpsons yesterday? No, I don't mean what TV show. No, this was in character. The Simpson family over there.
Right, yeah. Bunch of
their house just got burned down. Did you see that? The dragon is on top of their house.
It's a family of like Githzerai. I'm trying to think of yellow skinned.
Githyanki, I think. Are they this? Because they're the same.
They're basically the same biology.
Yeah, a family of Githzerai. I don't know where to go from there.
I don't know.
Yeah. So just try to do something. Try to say something to someone.
Yeah. Crack a joke.
I suppose, yeah.
If you have to.
Hopefully not a joke that implies that you have not been paying attention to the session. But,
make like fart noises or something.
Not that.
Just break the silence somehow.
If you can make a joke about what was just said by the dungeon master, double thumbs up.
Right.
If the dragon lands on...
like a pun. Make a pun.
If the dragon lands on the house and then you say something like, there goes the neighborhood.
Right. That's something.
I guess.
That's something.
You could say, wow, that roof's prices have never been lower.
Oh.
Anyway, please let us escape this question, Jeff.
No, never.
All right, well, that'll do it for our regular questions, but we do still have our social media questions for the week. The last question that we asked a couple weeks ago was, what are your gaming hopes for the upcoming year? Do you recall what your answer was?
I don't remember. I feel like it was basically just played the game, which we've technically done.
Yeah, no, we totally did. My goal was to play D&D.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
We totally did this. I think I also said to read more.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, I've been reading the Eberron books. Does that count? I'm the person that I asked. So yes, I would say yes, that counts.
I don't know. Gabe does it.
So yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good so far. It's only been less than a week into the year.
Sure.
I think I've done it.
Some year, huh?
Yeah. We got a few responses on Facebook. Dustin F, once again, says, I want to get a place of my own so that I can DM. As of now, it's difficult to get my group together. If I had a permanent location, it would be easier to plan for. Then I can finally bring my players to the chapel on the cliffs.
Ooh.
And then he put in parentheses, gobble, gobble, gobble. Justin H says, I hope to complete another campaign. We recently finished Storm King's Thunder. Now on to Descent into Avernus.
Ooh.
There you go. Sean M says, our Tuesday night game group are looking at an Eberron campaign. Heck yeah.
Ooh.
The group has mixed it up the past 6 months, trying other game systems and themes after completing Curse of Strahd. May even have a Starfinder game going on Thursdays, and hoping to get going again on a monthly Iron Fang Legion campaign that has paused for a few months with an out-of-town group. Cool. Nathan H says, to become a better player in DM and to start publishing some of my content on DM's Guild.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There you go. Well, hopefully listening to our podcast will help some or all of those things.
Right.
Also, Crit Academy, they've got stuff they've submitted stuff on DM's Guild plenty of times.
Yeah, they're okay.
Elliot M says, to get my flaky friends who said they were interested in playing D&D a year ago to actually start an adventure.
Sure.
So it's tough. It's tough getting started.
Pressure your friends.
Peer pressure. Peer pressure.
One of us. Google gobble.
Tommy D says, I'm actually hoping to get out and do anything. Haven't played or DM'd an RPG in about 5 years or a tabletop in 2. Yeah.
So all you got to do is start a podcast for 3 years.
For 3 years. Yeah, because you've been out for 5 years. If 3 years ago you had started a podcast,
right,
you could be running an Everon game right now.
Right now.
Ryan P says, I'd really like to start DMing for my group and finding a character I don't immediately get bored with for my other group. Yeah, there you go. Good luck on that. Eugene G says, I have been the DM for many campaigns for the last 20 years or so. I have yet to play as a PC. Taking a break from the DM chair this year to hopefully play as a character. Good luck. That's a struggle many dungeon masters have.
Right.
It's just getting someone else to run so that you can actually play.
Right. Yeah.
So good luck. Dan W says, very simple, to play and DM more. There you go. I mean, that seems to be it's a common goal everybody has.
Right.
It is a worthwhile one. Over on Reddit, we just got one. Pruno says, finish running Curse of Strahd before the birth of my second child.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. I don't know how far away that is, but congratulations and good luck. Also, if you don't have a name picked out, hey, Strahd?
Oh, my gosh. No. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Over on Discord, we don't have anyone on Twitter. Over on Discord, Pitorius says consistent games.
I think there's a theme going on.
There is definitely a theme
God.
going on.
Like, I think with all of our powers combined, there should be at least somebody in this group that has a regular gaming going.
Sure. Stiltskin Kupo 84 says, I'm hoping to get my brand new Fantasy Grounds Ultimate license all test connected, troubleshotted, and built for the current 4th edition campaign I'm running.
Ooh.
I'm also hoping my existing players will download the free demo version to connect to my Ultimate, and that maybe I will get some new players to join Feyraven. So that is Fantasy Grounds is an online tabletop, correct?
I think so.
I'm not familiar with it myself. I've heard the name, but
yeah, I think that's the one that's on Steam.
Oh, maybe.
I think so.
Okay. Tho and Frostax says, for tabletop, I want to run a full mouse guard adventure. Every time I've tried, the group falls apart halfway through. I also want to try running Call of Cthulhu as I have the latest starter set, and it looks super fun and creepy. For video games, I want to play through the Tales of series. I'm currently playing Grace's F and will be starting Fantasia once that's done. The Beverage Tea says, having tabletop RPG accepted as an Olympic sport in Tokyo 2020. I think you're a bit late, but Godspeed.
Right.
Godspeed, Beverage Tea.
Sure.
Potato Plunderer says, I hope to get more games with my sister and cousins. They're my main D&D group, and I just love being around them. Other than that, I hope to replay Middle-earth Shadow of War. The game is so good, especially since Warner Brothers removed microtransactions. Oh, and complete God of War. Boy. Good game. God of War is an amazing game.
Yeah, I got to get around to playing that one.
It's very good. If you want to borrow it, I have it. You can just borrow it.
Shadow of War is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there definitely was the microtransaction controversy with it when it first came out. It wasn't like, but overall, really fun game. Like, it's something I have actually been meaning to get back to.
Sure. E. Thompson 03 says, I imagine I'm too late for this. That's not true because we're doing this differently now.
Oh,
it
sure.
Sucks for us because it's so confusing how we do the discussion questions now, but You're not too late. But E. Thompson says, Final Fantasy VII Remake is my top priority for gaming. Which I am disappointed, but whatever.
Hey, you know what?
Play the original is what I say.
People like it for different reasons. Sometimes it's just fun to be excited.
Just personally, I think they should make a remake for a game that still holds up. And I think the original still holds up. Not everyone does, but I do. I think it is still a great game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, don't want to rant. I don't want to spread too much negativity about Square Enix on this podcast. But anyway, E. Thompson goes on to say, but I really want to find a few D&D games and have them become consistent. There you go. John Gemstone says, I want to start DMing again. I haven't gotten behind the screen since last year in March. The story I got ready is needing a bit more prep before it's ready. Once it is, however, I hope to start to share it with my new D&D group.
Cool.
There you go. So that's everybody. Congratulations to everybody who has gotten to play recently.
Sure.
And good luck to everybody who is trying to start playing soon. So hopefully this year is going to be the year of gaming.
Right. I mean, like that's the whole 2020 thing. Like it's
sure. Yeah. You're
double 20s. You know, it's pretty cool. Like people have already started calling it like the year of the crit or something like that.
Sure.
Something along those lines. So it's it can happen.
Yeah. All right. So our next social media question was actually posed by you, Jeff.
Wait, what?
Would you like to read the question for our listeners?
Sure. What did I say? All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The next one is what are your dream dice? If you could have any set of dice, what would it be?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like I get a lot of ads on like Facebook for I think Wormwood is the name of the company.
Okay.
They make like the like dice trays and stuff like that, but they also sell dice.
Sure.
And there's like different dice made out of like different materials and things and different designs and colors. Like I keep seeing and they're sold out, and I don't know how genuine it is. It's supposed to be made out of malachite.
Okay.
Which is just if you don't know what malachite is, it's just a very pretty like it's a mineral or is it a gemstone? What is it? I don't know. I think it's just I never know the different distinctions of like.
Is it like a dark green thing?
It can be varying colors of like greenish blue,
okay,
and like more like darker and sometimes like dark blacks and stuff.
Yeah,
but and like it's a very I think it's a very pretty thing. I think it's copper adjacent or something because like copper when it's oxidized becomes like a green color.
Yeah, but
I've seen like a dice set made of malachite with like maybe like a silver inlay or whatever.
Sure.
But I don't know. Like I don't know how well that actually holds up as far as like something you actually roll and things like that. So I'm not 100% sure if like dice that are supposedly made of malachite are actually malachite or just something that looks like it.
Sure.
In any case, like I keep seeing it and I'm like, oh, that's really pretty. I want that. And it's like sold out and it's like, oh, okay. Well, it'll come back in stock soon. Oh, $100. Ooh. So it'll be in my dreams.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll get a nice fancy set or something.
Sure,
like that.
sure.
But
I've seen plenty of sets that are like, oh, this is made of like mammoth tusk or meteorite or something like that. I mean, yeah, those would be cool to have, but I mean, they're so expensive, and I'd be afraid of breaking them.
Exactly, like something that you don't want to get something that you wouldn't use.
Yeah,
you'd still want to be able to use it. Like maybe because one of the other things that prompted this was there was like a post on like the D&D subreddit or something.
Sure,
somebody pictured it was like a 14 karat gold, like it was a really pretty design, but it's sort of it was a little. Gabe said you said it was
very busy. Yeah. It wasn't just a D20. It was like a D20 that was like made of like like interwoven threads or whatever, and it looked nice, but it takes me 3 seconds of looking at it to tell what number I'm looking at.
Sure. Yeah. And again, it's not something you'd want to actually roll because because of the price of it. It's, like it's probably going to cost a couple grand. Mm-hmm. Just, the design and material alone,
Sure.
So like, as a display, sure. But like I'm talking like what a set of dice that you would use, maybe not every time, but like maybe on special occasions or something.
Yeah.
But still something that you'd want to use. Like what is your ideal dice? Like solid metal, like where it thuds on the table. Is that the kind of thing you want, or do you just like something that looks pretty?
Yeah. So the thing that I would say, it's not even really a whole set of dice. It's specifically 2 D6s. Mm-hmm. Back when I can't remember if I've ever mentioned this on the show before, but back when in 3rd edition, when the Epic Level Handbook came out, the Epic Level Handbook was a book that was about levels beyond level 20. So if you want to make a character that was like level 30, level 40, level 200 or whatever, the rules on how to do that were in that book. And in that book, in addition to just like stats on leveling up, they had monsters that were epic level. They had spells that were epic level. They had magic items that were epic level. Mm-hmm. In the magic items, there were several artifacts that were not just... Because artifacts, for anybody not familiar, artifacts is what you call magic items that are either so powerful or so unique that you can't just make another one. Right. They usually have a history. Sometimes they have their own consciousness and an agenda and so on. But anyway, there was an epic level artifact in there that was called the Dice of Alitamara. Alitamara was in the Greyhawk campaign setting is the god of rogues, the god of bards, the god of luck. And Alitamara's dice were these 2 6-sided dice in the book, as a picture of them, where they had purple ink, I think, and instead of a 1, it had Alitamara's symbol, which was like a theater mask that half was laughing, half was frowning, one of those.
Right, yeah.
And so it's just kind of it's kind of like the deck of many things in that you basically roll 2d6s, and depending on what comes up, some sort of really good or really bad thing happens.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's just epic level artifact in there. Neat thing. When that book first came out at some convention that Wizards of the Coast went to that year, if you bought a copy of the Epic Level Handbook at that convention, you got a physical set of Alitamara's dice. Ooh. They were 2 ivory-colored D6s with purple ink, and again, on the one side of each of them was Alitamara's symbol. I was not into D&D at the time that came out. I didn't get into it till a couple years later. But ever since I found out about those, I've always thought how awesome it would be to get a pair of Alitamara's dice.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure that the odds of that are incredibly low because who even has, how many did they even make? And that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But ever since I got a 3D printer, I did manage to find someone made an STL file of Alitamara's dice.
Right.
And so I have printed up several. They're not quite the same, and I've had to ink them myself, and it just doesn't look right. But I would love to have an actual set of Alitamara's dice from that promotion.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, I guess that's my answer. I kind of took a long time to get there. But,
no, that's good.
But yeah, so everybody out there, if you could have any set of dice, what would it be? What are your dream dice?
Yeah.
Any sort of materials, any sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you already got it, let us know what.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you already got a dice that you call your favorite, let us know what that is. Maybe you should send us a picture on our Discord.
That would be awesome. If you include a picture, I will put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, I think that will do it for our questions today. But before we close out, we have to remember that not all stories end dramatically. Not all stories end with a bang or with a heroic sacrifice or anything. Sometimes you finish your job and then you just move on.
Huh.
I don't know if this is what I'm going to be doing every week for this segment, but we are doing a new segment, and by that I mean it's a different version of the funeral pyre. Instead of the funeral pyre, Jeff and I are going to take a Sunday walk down to the retirement village. We're going to go visit Grandpa at the retirement village.
We're going to go pay a visit. Pay a visit to our elders.
There you go. We're going to go pay a visit to our elders at the retirement village. So, today's retirement village story, for anybody who's not familiar, did not hear us talk about this segment in previous episodes, whereas the funeral pyre is heroic or stories of heroic character deaths or ironic character deaths or just memorable character deaths.
Yeah.
The retirement village is stories if your character didn't die, they just quit adventure.
Right.
In a way that would make a good story.
Sure.
Yeah. So your character doesn't necessarily have to die in order to get on the show. Just if they retired.
Right.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Cool. So today's was submitted by Jom Gemstone via Discord. And his story goes as follows. Today, I have a retired adventurer. Ormus, son of Orin, learned of his party being criminals, actively leaving him behind as they would go and murder people a criminal organization wanted gone. He tried to convince them to stop and helped them get out of a city that learned they were killers. While signing up with an adventurers guild to help bring them down a new path, his companions refused to turn away from crime. Ormus left them to begin teaching magic to those who wished to learn, starting a school of his own when the king learned of an elf aiding in the education of his citizens. Our campaign ended abruptly, but I couldn't let Ormus's story end, so I wrote this up based on where we had left off in the game.
Okay, yeah.
So there you go. That's one way to do it. I guess if your character didn't retire in the game but didn't die,
right,
you could write to us about what you think your character would have done after that point.
Yeah, so, yeah. There's plenty of times where you roll up a cool character, you have great idea for them, and then the campaign just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's like, yeah, write some, at least some closure for yourself. You know?
Sure, that works.
Yeah. So that's nice.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess let's raise a glass in memory of Ormus, who was living out his days teaching magic. Clink. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for today's episode. So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you'd like to submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. If you want to check out show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. You can check us out on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Reddit. We're on Twitter at InPartyConflict. We've got social media questions every week, so if you answer them on there, your answers might end up on the show. Find us on the app, the podcast app of your choice: iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, all those. Please leave us a review, tell a friend, leave us a rating, anything like that, anything that you can help us get more visibility. If you want to help support the show, you can check us out at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Check out the rewards, see if anything appeals to you. Think about helping out the show. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is a YouTube channel where we play video games.
Yes. Speaking of video games, my side project, the Arcade Memories podcast, should be getting a new episode pretty soon. If it's not out yet, I hope to be getting one out in the next few days. I actually just went to an arcade a few days ago, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, if you're interested in contributing to the Arcade Memories podcast, send your memories to arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to take a short survey about our show, you can check it out at bit.ly/interpartyconflict. If you do so, Mary and Tom at hollandspiel.com will give you 2 free printable board games.
Cool.
So check that out. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time.
Bingo!